Hello, my name is Brenda Hayward. This video is called Buyers Do Not Use a Listing Agent. Buyers, you are ready to make that big home buying purchase. However, you don't want to make this exhausting process all by yourself. You have decided that you want assistance. Buyers, there are two types of real estate agent. One is called a listing agent who supports the sellers, and the other agent is called a buyer's agent who support the buyers. Buyers, a dual agency is when a seller's agent represents both sides of the purchase transaction. However, problems could occur when the buyer decides to work with a listing agent and not the buyer's agent. My video will include one, buyer. Can a listing agent guarantee unbiased service while representing both sides of the real estate transaction? Two, buyers. Do you think a seller's agent will refuse money when presented with more money? Three, buyer. Now that you're under contract, number one, buyer. Can a listing agent guarantee unbiased service while representing both sides of the real estate transaction? Buyer, remember, the seller agent already represents the seller and knows their situation. After choosing a seller's agent to represent them, the seller feels confident that they will keep all their information confidential. The bonding process between the seller and the seller agents begins with reviewing of the home, decluttering, staging, and preparing it to become marketable. This bonding process is not an overnight experience. It may take a few weeks or a few months, depending on the needs of the home and its sellers. Once the house is on the market, the buyer either calls or comes to an open house with our representative. At this time, the seller agent finds out this information. The seller's agent walks the individual through the home, and the buyer acknowledges that the property is what they want and what color the house would look great as. With this opportunity, the listing agent informs the buyer who they currently represent and asks if they want to move forward with the purchasing transaction. The buyer says yes, and the seller's agent introduces a piece of paper that informs the buyers of a conflict of interest because they already represent the seller. Does anyone believe that the seller agent can guarantee an unbiased billing will happen if they represent both the buyer and the seller? Number two, buyers. Do you think the seller's agent will refuse when represented with more money? Buyers, when presented with an opportunity to make more money, no one will refuse the opportunity. Let's say, let's stay with the same scenario mentioned earlier. Let's say that you, the buyer, felt comfortable with the agent and the agent answered all your questions and you liked them. The seller's agent presented a piece of paper for you to read, alerting you to the position of the seller's agent. Because you enjoy how the agent represented themselves, you signed off on a dual agency agreement, agreeing for the agent to represent both sides of the transaction without a conflict of interest. The listing agent puts together the offer to present it to the seller, and now you're waiting for a response to come back. The seller needs to review the information and make a decision to make a counter offer, accept, or reject your initial offer. Because the sellers had to sign off on the same dual agreement, you and the buyer signed off. They are aware that the seller's agent position. The seller of the home makes an offer to the seller agent in a monetary form that the seller agent will get at closing if they help them get a certain additional amount of funds from you. So they now have the seller's agent complete a counteroffer. In this scenario, do you believe the seller agent will turn down their monetary offer? Buyers, the sellers pay all realtor fees. Let's think about this. The power of the money is in the seller's hands, and when you enter into a dual agency agreement. Number three, buyer. Now that you're under contract, buyer, you have worked out a deal and now under contract. It is time for the next steps. You hire a home inspector using the listing of eligible inspectors per your listing agent. The home inspector is used to find any additional issues with the home that need to be taken care of. The home inspector report comes back with multiple issues that cause your concern, which is common. After reviewing the report, you decide to present the issues that you believe to be important to the agent. However, you notice that the listing agent tries to avoid the issues on the report that you feel are important. Your agent's response to most of the concerns is that item is a typical problem when it comes to buying an older property. Buyer, your mind is spinning. Should I or shouldn't I listen to this agent? As the buyer, you believe you have gotten good information so far and have trusted the information that the agent has given you so far. Questions to ask yourself: are you receiving good information just to close on a home, or are you truly getting good advice? This position is shady. What do you think? Just a little about me. I'm a person who enjoys food. However, cherry cheesecake is one of my favorite foods. Just to let you know, I am not a real estate agent, accountant, lawyer, or loan officer. Please know if you like this video by clicking a thumbs up, subscribing, or leaving comments below. The rest of this video has information on 4, buyer doubts appear as they wonder if they are getting the best advice, and 5, buyer, what have you gotten into when the legality of dual agency? Number 4, buyer doubts appear as they wonder if they're getting the best advice. Buyer, as more problems appear in the contract process, the thought is that the agent performing their best duties to represent both the seller and the buyer's concern are in your thoughts. Buyer, you decide not to listen to your feelings in your gut and move forward with the transaction. You have sat down with the agent and have agreed to have a few things repaired. The documentation has been countersigned and both parties agree on the listing of repairs. Then the homeowners association document, seller's disclosure, and survey arrive for your review. After you read the homeowners association covenants, you realize that the outside of the home can only be painted the colors suggested in the document. One of the things you had planned for this home was to change the color of the outside of the home. The listing agent tells you that you could paint the home the color you want. Also stated that the others in the neighborhood just painted their homes without getting permission from the HOA. They also acknowledge that the homeowners association did not say a word to make them change the color to one of the colors suggested in the homeowners association approval list. Your idea of changing the color of paint was told to the agent a few times, starting with the walkthrough of the home. How would you respond if this happened to you? Do you trust that the seller agent is giving you good information and not being persuaded by money? You know the color of the home is important to you. Do you accept this advice? Now that you are in a dual agency relationship, can you say the agent is working in your favor or the seller's? Your gut is churning. Are you going to listen? Could this have been avoided if you hired a buyer's agent? Number 5, buyer, what have you gotten into with the legality of dual agency? Buyer, would you be thinking of dual agency is legal? The answer to this position is yes, in over 40 states. However, some states limit fiduciary responsibility, which involves trust. If you were a buyer and used the seller's agent in this situation stated in this video, Would you trust your gut? Please let me know if you like this video by clicking a thumbs up, subscribing, or leaving comments below. My name is Brenda Hayward, and thanks for your time.